Today on the show, we're talking to Adiel Horesh, Chief Business Development Officer at Scytale, a leading compliance automation platform helping companies around the world simplify the messy, manual chaos of cybersecurity audits and security frameworks. Scytale's platform supports everything from SOC 2 and ISO 27001 to HIPAA and GDPR, giving service providers and their clients an easier way to stay audit ready, win trust, and build credibility in an increasingly regulated world. Adiel plays a key role in expanding Scytale's footprint globally, building partnerships and helping service providers turn compliance from a headache into a competitive advantage. Adiel, welcome to the Goldphish podcast. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here today.
Let's start with the Scytale story. What's the core mission behind Scytale, and how has the platform evolved as cybersecurity and compliance expectations have grown?
Yeah, so great question and actually great story behind it. A lot of people don't know, but up until maybe 5 years ago, there was no such thing as compliance automation. Basically, compliance is something that almost every customer has to go through, regardless if it's an industry requirement or you're doing something specifically on the cloud, you're maintaining data for customers, you run payments on your platform, or you have to deal with security threats. All of these things require you to comply. And as we go forward, we'll probably talk a little bit about latest trends. These things really intensify. So compliance is very important. Now, up until 5 years ago, most customers, and I guess a lot of them are still doing that, used to do compliance with a consultant. Compliance was something that was completely off the cloud, not digital, done manually using Excel sheets and emails. And while this is a very intensive process for any company, especially startups and small businesses, it used to take a lot of time because a human consultant can guide you as to what the law is or what the regulation is, but then basically they manage you in a way that you have to work for them for a while, bringing all the different evidence and certifications and make sure that you meet all the different controls. This type of heavy lifting is very significant for small companies. That means that key stakeholders inside the organization, like your chief technology officer, like your R&D team, like your DevOps, have to be very much burdened by this process. These are the most expensive resources in any organization, and it takes them away from important things like innovation and technology projects like cloud and AI. So what they would do instead is just work on compliance, work for that specific consultant, work for the auditor. Obviously, everything comes in the very last minute, so everybody panics. Operation shuts down to almost a complete stop until we pass the audit, and then obviously we have to do it again the following year. That type of process became extremely difficult given the age of big data, a lot of web applications, a lot of cloud services, and not to mention AI disrupting everything. How can you comply like that? So what happens about 5 years ago, basically Scytale and also a few other companies started automating this process and basically building a SaaS software on the cloud that migrates this activity to the cloud, connects to all the different web applications, cloud services, and other services, collects the relevant data, performs some kind of a gap analysis, and then provides automatic remediation. That process has a few key benefits. First of all, it really cuts down the process by around 90%, which is very significant. If you think about it, a regular SOC 2 process or ISO could take you up to 6 months or even more. Now you can do it in just weeks. Second of all, it gives you what we call ongoing compliance, because it used to be about when I'm an auditor and I go to a company and I want to make sure that they meet all the different requirements, for example, for security compliance. Then I have to make sure that they meet everything. And usually I would take a few examples because I can't check everything. This is what we used to call exemplary compliance. But now everything is moving to what we call ongoing compliance. You have to be compliant all the time. Yeah. How can you do that without automation? So this is where automation really was very effective in supporting customers in this process. We always ask ourselves a very basic question. am I secured now? Okay, not yesterday or tomorrow. Am I secured right now? And with the latest security solutions, you could answer that questions, yes or no. But another question is coming up, am I compliant now? And most of the time, the answer would be, I don't know. I was compliant when the audit came,
Yeah.
but now I don't know anymore. So that means that I have to do a lot of work to make sure that I'm compliant again. This is, again, how compliance automation really disrupted the world of compliance. And now, at least according to Gartner, this is already a $12 billion market with a lot of the customers onboarding to technology solutions. And Scytale is one of the leading vendors in this domain.
Thanks for the background and a good understanding of the industry. Love that. Your role as Chief Business Development Officer, what does your day-to-day look like? And what do you see is mainly driving the growth for Scytale right now?
Okay. Originally, I came from AWS, where I served as a leader in the marketplace and technology partnerships organization. And my role was to help ISVs and different solution providers, let's say, take advantage of this hyperscaler called AWS. The way they did that was by integrating with the way AWS works in terms of architecture and different programs, but also with regards to cross-selling together with AWS and other partners of AWS. That basically gives ISVs a significant market access because we know that AWS is based on sales teams in every region. Those sales teams are connected to most customers in all the different segments. My role was to build the partnership organization divided into two. One would be your regular resellers, MSPs, referral partners, affiliates, and so on. And the other one, how do we harness this incredible opportunity of working with a hyperscaler like AWS? Coming from there, I knew the secret sauce of how to drive motivation within AWS. After all, AWS is really a great partner, but they work with so many different ISVs. It's not easy to find your way in this huge mix of ISVs from different sizes. Some people would say that AWS is a very big mall, but with only like 50 brands. So they would work with Wiz and CrowdStrike and Trend Micro and all the big ones. But how do I get them to notice me? So that was the challenge that came with my role. And I'm happy to say that we're already onboarded a lot of very significant channel partners all across the world, and also started working very intensively with AWS as well. And this manifests in mutual events that we drive together that I'll be happy to share a little bit more about our compliance for breakfast events or other events that we do together with AWS, participating in their summits and driving other type of marketing campaigns together for the benefit of the customers.
That's brilliant. What a great partner to have. Now, most companies still view compliance as something painful. Like you mentioned, manual compliance is a major pain, and a lot of companies still see that. How do you help MSSPs and their clients flip that narrative and turn this into a value add? What is the return on investment for compliance these days? How are companies selling it?
Okay. So here I think lies the biggest opportunity of all, because out of all the different solutions in the world of cybersecurity and compliance, I think that compliance automation is perfect for partnerships. Other than other solutions that may be sold directly in the most effective way, compliance goes very well with partners for several reasons. First of all, a classic partner will have their own GRC practice set up, but they don't have the technology. So they will have the different consultants working with customers, but now they're afraid of missing out because they see technology taking over. We're not saying we're here to disrupt you. We're saying we're here to help you evolve. Take our technology, use your consultants, which are still needed in many of the cases, and then bring a better together value proposition for your customers based on technology. So that's one thing. A lot of the times, the partners are trusted advisors for those customers. They are familiar with the local regulations. They have access to the relevant, let's say, complementary solutions, because compliance is an ecosystem, right? If you want to be SOC 2 compliant, having automation for compliance is not enough. You would need identity access management, you would need encryptions, you would need passwords, you would need an EDR solution. And this is where partners really shine by offering these type of bundles, because we don't do everything. They know how to take the different pieces of the puzzle, put them together, and put it in front of the customer. Today, for example, the latest trend is not talking about compliance or security, is talking about sovereignty posture, which means both things. A customer will come to the MSP or the partner and say, I want to maintain my compliance posture. I don't really mind what's in the back end, but you take all the tools that I need and often also provide me the services, because what I really care about is the bottom line certification that says that I'm compliant. Okay, so this proposition is what we really try to promote. I think it gives the MSPs a great value as well, because they get to evolve to incorporate great technologies. They get to bundle this, and also they get access to a new type of customers, up market, or customers that grow together with them to more exciting compliance, if you can use the word exciting for compliance. So that it's a really good, better together story.
But for partners who have got a GRC program and have been doing this manually, using this technology is definitely going to enable them. But by leveraging this type of tech, it's going to enable them to scale their GRC service significantly, isn't it? They're, with not needing to employ any more consultants, they're going to be able to 10x the number of customers that they can take on for these type of services with this tech. That's
a super valid point. What happens is that if you could have one consultant work with 3, 5, 10 customers, now they can do the same thing with 50. It is important to say that the human element is very important. I know that at the age of AI, we keep thinking about how can we replace humans, but in the compliance section, humans are actually very important. Customers, when it comes to compliance, they don't tend to put everything on technology, because eventually the risk of non-compliant is very big. So yes, but the combination of technology and consultants allows you to scale very rapidly, but then again, still provide high quality compliance to your customers.
Now, leading on from talking about the human piece and the human requirement, now there's a human element to cybersecurity, and a lot of compliance frameworks today require employee awareness and security training. How are your partners addressing human risk alongside all the other technical controls?
Okay, so what happens today is that the compliance automation platform includes additional features required as part of the compliance journey. The Scytale platform, for example, includes all the employee training needed built into the software, and it actually manages the different training requirements. So you will also be monitoring your employee compliance, your vendor compliance, all of your risk management processes. Everything is combined into one platform where, for example, if I need my employees to take a specific training, that the system will be sending them the training and will be pinging them to complete it once they don't do that, and will also reflect any gaps in that sense to the owner or the admin of the system to make sure that everybody complies, because not anything could be automated. If you have to take a training, you still have to take the training. If you have to sign a policy, you still have to sign that policy. But now everything is managed in one system.
Okay, brilliant. So you've got that overall lens of your entire compliance environment, including employee training.
Exactly.
So you guys are based in Israel and operating internationally, correct?
Yes. So a little bit about us. Scytale is part of a bigger group called VetIT. It's the biggest of its kind when it comes to regulation technology. So the group itself would have a few companies that do taxation, invoicing, and anything that has to do with regulation. We are the compliance arm. So we have more than 120 different employees scattered in different offices around the globe. We will have an R&D office in Israel. We have big offices in Johannesburg, if you like, South Africa. We have offices in Berlin, Prague, New York, and we're expanding.
All right, fantastic. What parts of the compliance process are still painfully manual. So you speak about the human still being a major element and needing people and consultants to be involved. What parts of the process really are still manual, and how is Scytale helping teams streamline that experience?
Okay. Obviously, compliance is comprised out of many different processes. Some of them can be automated, and some of them it's hard to automate. I'll give a few examples. For example, if you have a policy center like we do, where you have all the different policies, you have to keep them updated. Sometimes you need to translate them to different languages and so on. In addition, when you collect different evidence, those evidence could be textual, could be images from the system, output of APIs and things of that sort. What we do, we implement AI quite a lot in our system, and this allows the system to have an AI engine review these things, make translation, review evidence, and then basically just sign it off to a human approver rather than that person spending their time reviewing all the evidence and things that is really hard to automate in the regular way.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Talking about market shifts and that, I'd love to know your thoughts on, with cyber insurance, regulatory pressure increasing in different governments in different parts of the world, customer demands rising as they're seeing more attacks and more stories in the news. How do you see the compliance landscape changing over the next 12 to 18 months?
Okay. So there are a few trends that we see recently around the world that I think we should spend a few minutes discussing. The first trend, as I mentioned, is what we call sovereignty posture, where security and compliance actually come together. Customer wants you to take end-to-end responsibility for their posture rather than just selling them a solution and say, here's a license for whatever security solution, and then you're in charge now on making sure that you're secure or compliant or just covering one small aspect. So they want the full bandwidth, because if you have a good security solution, but then you're not compliant, so what good is it eventually? Because you could still be fined, you're still exposed. Compliance is the stamp that says all of those things that you implemented are actually working and you're actually secured, or you're actually compliant, or your customer's data is actually safe. So there's a very important part of compliance in all of these processes. So that's one thing that we see. The second trend is more geopolitical, I think. Different US administrations or different things that are creating concerns across the industry and in different regions, especially, of are we compliant to the right regulations, or things could change tomorrow morning and we're no longer compliant because of geopolitical reasons or things of that sort. This is why you see now the European Union or Australia or South Africa coming up with their own laws, their own regulations that basically change everything. Yeah. Suddenly the customer needs to comply with something that they never heard about, or a new type of regulation, and they need somebody to help them sort everything out and again automate the process, so they don't just have to take another consultant and go into this project. The third thing that we see is, again, AI. AI comes with a lot of potential, but also with a lot of risk. And this is why now we have AI regulations. For example, the AI EU Act, or ISO 42001, or NIST, or all of these new regulations are something that customers need to comply with because they want to apply AI in whatever they do, but they don't know what it is and how to apply to it and when does it come into effect. And this actually impacts all industries, from cyber insurance to privacy or anything. This is why we really try to update our policies and the frameworks that are available to our customers as soon as they come up. And we have our own consultants. I think one of the differentiators that Scytale offers is that we are a one-stop shop for everything. So it's not just about technology. We also care about services. Everything is in just one-stop shop. So if you come to Scytale, you can get access to the platform, but also a consultant if you need to guide you through the process, and also additional things that may need to be applied, like pen testing or audit preparations or security questionnaires, or all of these things.
Brilliant, Adiel. What's next for Scytale? New standards, new features. What can we expect to see on the roadmap?
Wow, so many things. What we're working on right now is getting a little bit out of the traditional partnerships that we keep promoting and expanding, like MSPs and resellers, and also onboarding new technology partners. As I mentioned, we live in an ecosystem. The idea is to give customers the option to purchase best of breed list of solutions, like a shopping list for startups or ISVs that want to get the best of everything, but also make sure that everything integrates. So if, for example, if you buy Scytale and you buy Job Cloud or other types of solutions, you know that it integrates, you understand the better together value of having these two things bought together. And then you also enjoy the best brands in the market supporting you and protecting you for a special price.
Yeah, love it. Before we wrap up, let our listeners know where they can find you and learn more about the work that you guys are doing at Scytale.
Yes, happy to. They can always go to our website, scytale.ai, and learn more about the latest things that we're involved with, the frameworks that we support, our partnership network, and up to references from different customers. They can also approach us in social media like LinkedIn and reach out. We are also available in central marketplaces like the AWS Marketplace or Nacho if they want to learn more about special offers. If they work on AWS Activate, for example, a platform for startups, they also get special offers to learn more about us and use our solutions. And of course, you can always contact me directly or anybody from Scytale. Reach out, ask for more information, ask questions about partnership, cross-selling. We're more than happy to help. So we are now driving Eating Compliance for Breakfast in Sydney and Melbourne. Coming up will be places like New York, Munich, and Madrid. So if you're a CISO and you want to learn more, those would be the places to go and learn about latest innovations in the world of compliance and ask our experts questions.
Fantastic, mate. Adiel, thank you very much for joining us today on the Goldphish podcast. Really appreciate your time and insight. Bye, everyone.